Yes, everybody knows. The police, firefighters, doctors, lawyers, and all governmental institutions. I can confirm what Lorraine is saying. I have family members, relatives, and former friends who are working for the police, firefighters, and secret services. Freemasons are the gang stalkers. Freemasons are controlling the government and all governmental institutions. Listen to what Lorraine has to say in this video.
Good early morning. This is Lorraine Alternative Homesteading. Well, I have some news for you. On Quora, somebody who read that FBI report that I recently posted, that is online for everybody to view, said that for people who post that kind of information, that the FBI can take a closer look at them and actually arrest you. And I'm thinking, why would the FBI arrest somebody for a document that they have posted online for the world to view? So I removed it, folks. I removed it from Quora and I removed it from my YouTube. So in case anybody notices it missing, it was shadow banned. I had a hard time locating it without the actual URL to it. So I removed it. No big deal. It tells us who we're dealing with, right, folks? The criminals don't want you to know what they're doing. But anyway, you know, to justify the bloated list, they have to fundraise and have grants. And I remember Senator Rand Paul in a hearing over the summertime. He discussed the frivolous spending in universities and granting money to these ridiculous research projects. Well, I'm just going to say it for the record. What I read on that report was another ridiculous research project. Anyway, I'll end on that note. But I hope you like the beautiful painting of this German Shepherd. This is by a woman on eBay who paints these little art cards. And when I say little, they are little. They're little art cards. 2.5 by 3.5. And this is a trend that's been going on eBay for a long time, and people collect these things. But this particular artist is located in Sri Lanka. It took 4 or 5 weeks for me to actually get it, and I'm so thrilled. It's absolutely beautiful. And along with this adorable little doggy, she sent a certificate of authenticity. And you could find her on eBay under Hira, H-I-R-A. And I also want to thank Susan, and I forgot to mention this, Susan, for your Thanksgiving Day card. And for the little gift for the kitties. And I want to thank I'm not going to mention your names unless you wanted me to, but I won't. There are 3 people this week that donated from my Chewy wish list. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I'm having some difficulty with my laptop, but this is our Chewy wish list right here. Freya's Cat Rescue on Chewy, and you can see I'm having trouble. My page is unresponsive. I actually just woke up. I went to lie down to rest my back. I woke up at 11, and then I was put back to sleep until 1:15 a.m., folks. So, this is the Chewy wish list. Thank you so much for those 3 people. The cats appreciate it. And the chickens, because the chickens steal all the cat food. But I want to mention something else, folks. You know, a lot of people will say that this program doesn't exist. They will belittle you. They'll write stupid comments in the comments section because they know that the program exists. How could it not? The ACLU, through a FOIA request, wrote a fabulous report called Trapped in a Black Box, Growing Terrorism Watch List and Everyday Policing. That PDF is located online, and perhaps we'll get to it another time again. But I'm going to tell you what happened to me when I lived at 52 Sutton Drive, Manalapan, New Jersey, in a home that I lived in for 30 years as the original owner. And as I started renovating my house to sell it, all hell broke loose. Things went missing. My house was being broken into. The police weren't helping. In fact, they were involved. The Manalapan Police Department, at least 10 police officers, were involved in harassing and stalking me and writing false reports. And as you know from my complaint to the Attorney General of the state of New Jersey Criminal Division, I wrote a 61-page complaint about it. But I digress. So when this was happening, I decided to call my friend Sue Ann. I won't mention her last name, because obviously she's no longer a friend. But she was a dear friend at that time, and we had gone to concerts together, ate out dinner maybe once a month, twice a month. We hung out at each other's houses. We went for walks together. I went kayaking with her. So now Sue Ann is a volunteer firefighter. Her father is a retired cop, and both of her brothers are military. Plus, the icing on the cake is she is a certified death investigator. So she reviews crime scenes to see the blood spatter pattern and determine the causes of death, etc. So she's quite adept at crime scenes. And plus, she's always going for additional education. Usually once or twice a year. She'll even go to other countries for certifications, etc. So I knew that if anybody would know what was going on with me, she would. So I called her up. No, actually I texted her because she was at work. She texted me back. She said, "What is your zip code?" I send her my zip code. I don't hear back from her for a while, which usually she would text me back immediately. And then she says, how about I come over later? I said, sure. Should I take a look at those photos you're telling me about? And the photos are of part 2 of everybody knows about this secret program, the Slow Kill Revenge for Hire program. So my friend Sue Ann came over that evening. She wanted to look at my photos. So she scrolls from photo to photo. This is of my deadbolt, my door being broken into, the door jamb being crushed, and etc., etc. She's looking at everything. I'm looking at her, examining them. And you could tell she knows. She knew exactly what was going on. And after viewing the photos, with this dead face, she turned to me and she said, "So who did you piss off?" I said, "Excuse me?" She said, "Who'd you piss off?" I said, "What are you talking about?" And then she changed the subject. So she knew what was going on. She knew from my zip code. She looked into some database to see that my name was on some list, viewed my photos, and she knew that that was a professional job. You can see that it was a professional job. She knew exactly who did it, and she said, who did you piss off? Here I am, the victim of home break-ins, thefts, pet harm, and I'm being accused of pissing someone off? Okay, folks, let's see if I'm getting this right. At that point, I was a 60-year-old woman. Do you think in 60 years, 60, that you never piss anybody off in your lifetime? There are sick people out there if you disagree with them. These narcissists, they take revenge on you for disagreeing with them. And you all know that, folks. I mean, this is why some of you are in the program. You disagreed with somebody. Maybe you wrote a complaint. Maybe you filed a complaint about your rights in something. Maybe you filed for a divorce and some attorney decided to get even with you. And you know, divorce lawyers, they're the only ones that know your balance sheet. There isn't any other attorney out that asks you for your profit and loss statement. Only divorce lawyers to calculate child support and alimony and stuff. So you've got to watch out for these divorce lawyers. But I digress. So the point is that my old friend, Sue Ann, was in the know. She knew what was going on and immediately took the stance of who did I piss off. She knew I was in some kind of program. And then from that point forward, she became very distant. In fact, I called her and asked her for a copy of the receipt when we ate out dinner, because the police had fabricated the time that I came and went that night. And I was out to dinner with Sue Ann, and I didn't get home until after 8 p.m., and they wrote that I came home at 5 p.m. This is all can be proven, folks. So Sue Ann said she didn't have the receipt. Now, this is bull BS. Sue Ann was a type of a woman. We'd go out to dinner, right? And she always wanted to put it on her credit card so she could get points. So I would pay her the cash. She would put it on her credit card. And of course, she'd always have a credit card receipt. In addition to having a credit card receipt, you get the receipt from the restaurant, the bill. She claims she didn't have any of that and couldn't get it, which is so not true. This is a woman who saved everything. She was very detail-oriented, but she refused to give me a copy of the receipt, which had the date and time stamped on it, to prove that I left that restaurant after 8 p.m. And this is somebody I had known for years. We went kayaking together, concerts. She taught me a class on runes, R-U-N-E-S. And we'd hang out and watch movies and play games and barbecues and stuff like that. So this is how quickly a friend, an alleged friend, can turn who is in the know. And obviously, with having a retired police officer as a father, military folks as brothers, and being a volunteer firefighter, as well as being a certified death investigator who investigates crime scenes, she knew exactly what was going on. And she kept to keep that information to herself and only project onto me, who did you piss off? Well, folks, if everybody in this country that pissed somebody off gets placed on a slow kill list, what does that say about this country? And for anybody who says that the program doesn't exist, they're just plain lying. Every police officer, police department, sheriff's department, state department, county attorney, they're all in it. They're all in the know on their secret, paid for hire side hustle, because they're all getting paid under the table, folks. And for the targeted people out there, you already know this. But for the newcomers who might not know about the program, you're trying to understand what's happening to you, it is real. In 2016, the ACLU's Trapped in a Black Box Growing Terrorism Watch Listing in Everyday Policing PDF that you can locate online through a FOIA request of the FBI. In 2016, there were 900,000 people placed on various watch lists. And once you get on, you don't get off. They move you from list to list with no vetting. These are secret FISA warrants to be asset stripped, tormented, broken into. They get payoff community watch groups, InfraGard, fusion centers. The tentacles are everywhere. Your sheriff's department, your county lawyer, your community watch groups, your community sheeple, your neighbors, and they'll go after your friends and family and lie. I had a friend, very long-term friend. He was an astrologer friend of mine. He was also a massage therapist. He lived in California. And he's a gay guy. Just in case anybody wants to know, he's a gay guy. So we weren't having any kind of a relationship. We had been friends for years and years, probably a dozen years. And I would consider him a best friend. Because he did live in New York City at one time and then moved to California. And then suddenly, he stopped all communication with me. And every time I would call him, he would get angry at me and start projecting all this stuff that I was this and I was that and I was this. And it's like, where is this coming from? Here I was in graduate school at the time. My life was extremely busy, and we're talking about a 3-hour time difference, right? My daughter is in college. I'm driving back and forth because she's not allowed to have her car for 2 years at the university. So I had to drive back and forth to take her home or do whatever for her. And he starts accusing me of things. So I let time go by. I call him again. Every time I called, he would hang up on me. So, and then years later, I called, and he hung up on me again. So I guarantee these losers went behind my back and contacted my friend Bill. I'll say his name is Bill. I won't tell you his last name. But for anybody that knows me, I had a long-term friend named Bill who was an astrologer and a massage therapist who lived in New York City and moved to California. And he's a gay guy. That gives you enough information. But yeah, so I would like to know who contacted my friend Bill? I'd also like to know who contacted my friend Robert, who's now deceased. And the same thing happened with him, where suddenly he actually accused me of having an affair. And I'm thinking, damn, I mean, one, you live in another state. We're not in a relationship. We've never been in a relationship. We're just friends. And he starts accusing me of like having a boyfriend, not an affair, I'm sorry, a boyfriend. And it's like, if I had a boyfriend, I would tell you about it. But he started, again, accusing me of stuff. And this is how the program works. You'll have people contacting them, emailing them, and telling them slanderous lies to get your friends to turn against you. I will tell you, folks, that my mother says that she was never contacted. My mother was the one who hired a security consultant to comb my apartment. My mother also paid for a private detective. My mother came over my house and asked me, when we were talking about the program, she says, "Oh, you mean like a Manchurian candidate?" My mother was in the know, and because she was in the know and helped me, they murdered her last year. They gave her a seizure in her sleep. They were in her house vandalizing and stealing her belongings. They blinded her cat. And then she was killed at the hospital. She was perfectly healthy. Secret program, folks? I think not. You need to spread the word about this secret cop program. And I'm not just saying the cops program. I call them the criminals on patrol. The one by the Department of Justice that doles out millions of dollars to community watch groups. I'm talking about the cops and the sheriffs that have sold their soul. They sold out the Constitution for a quick buck. And the good ones left. They left the force, and now they're living off the grid because they know what's coming. They don't want to be part of it. Because those are the God's children, not these creepos around here that have sold their soul for a gift card. And yes, folks, I wanted to mention that my neighbor's teenage son, when I was at my my mailbox, they drove by, and this teenage son in the passenger seat sticks his finger up at me out the car window. I'm telling you, folks, first of all, my daughter would never do something like that. So what do you think is going to happen to these parents when they get old? Do you think their kids are going to take care of them because they taught them how to treat elder people? And I guess at this point, at 64 years old, you can consider me to be an elder person. Although I don't feel like it. But yes, this is how they train their children to be perpetrators. This is how they train their children to disrespect their elders. And yes, I would like to see my neighbor, how they're going to be treated in their elder years by their piece of shit son, who has the audacity to stick its middle finger up at me while I'm retrieving mail at my mailbox. But this is Lorraine Alternative Homesteading. I hope everybody's having a good night. And I deleted a couple of things off my phone to make sure that this did not cut off in the middle. I apologize for part 1 and 2, but I will post this online. And welcome to the newcomers. And thank you so much for all the people. There were 3 people this week that donated cat food through my Chewy.com wish list. Here you go, folks. This is Chewy.com. Chewy gives back. Freya's Cat Rescue is my 501c3 nonprofit cat rescue since 2012. And I have my wish list here, which is food and stuff, supplies for the cats. Which and I apologize how expensive everything's become, but that's what's happened, folks. A bag of cat food that I used to pay like $18 for is now $28 and $30 for one bag of cat food. A case of canned food, pate, that I used to pay like $9.99 for is now $18.99. So I so appreciate the people that donated some cat food because the chickens steal it too. But anyway, I hope everybody's having a good night. Lorraine Alternative Homesteading signing off for now.
This is her YouTube channel. I will leave a link in the description.